admire him today? Despite all the contradictions I'm going to point out to you. And some of his greatest admirers have been the greatest leaders the world has ever known in the last 100 years. And amongst them, I'll just name a few, but there's an endless list, I can tell you. Martin Luther King. He was a civil rights fighter for black people in the United States. He was assassinated. Nelson Mandela, who fought against apartheid in South Africa, he spent 27 years in jail for his beliefs. 27 years! Can you believe that? And yet, he is renowned throughout the world as an incredible statesman. John Lennon, the pop singer, who stood for peace, he was assassinated. Aung San Suu Kyi, the opposition leader, the woman opposition leader in Burma, she's been under house arrest for more than 20 years, and she's still struggling against the military government which denies democracy to people in Burma. And today, Barack Obama, probably the most powerful man in the world, is a great admirer of Mahatma Gandhi. Einstein, the person who created the mathematical theory that led to the atomic bomb and the ultimate expression of violence in the world. Einstein was a great admirer of Mahatma Gandhi. So you have to think about it, because when you look at pictures of Mahatma Gandhi, there's a skinny little Indian man in the 40s with a stick. No money, no great wealth behind him and all that. And yet this skinny little man achieved this incredible status throughout the world through the strength of his ideas and his beliefs. Now I'm going to suggest it wasn't all as simple as that, but I think that you should think about it very carefully, because even when you hold a belief, even when you search for the truth, there are other people who will disagree with you, and one of the lessons of Mahatma Gandhi is that you keep searching for truth, and you keep holding on to your truth, regardless of the cost to you. Even though powerful people in your life will oppose you for your beliefs. Now, you've heard the head boys talk about his belief in non-violence. But that is not strictly enough. You have to go beyond that. Because Gandhiji also believed that when you see injustice in front of you, you must resist it. You must resist that injustice. You must fight that injustice in non-violent ways. You must not cooperate with those who are oppressing you. It is not just non-violence. Gandhiji believed that if you turn your face the other way, he said, I'm not going to admit that there is injustice here. That he believed was cowardice. And believe you me, if you go and read about him, you'll find that there were times when he used to say that when non-violent, non-cooperation failed, he said, it is better to use violence, than to give up the fight against oppression. It's very, very interesting that it is not all completely about non-violence. So, in India, for instance, of course, as the head boys have said, his strategy led in the end to the British having to leave India. They were colonizing India, they were exploiting India. But when he was asked, well, is your policy of non-violent war going to end now that the British are gone? Gandhi said no, because the Brown Sahibs means the Indian leaders who are going to take over after the British have gone, they may turn out to be worse than the British who we have got rid of. And Gandhiji believed that his work was not ended. Unfortunately, his life was ended before he could go on. Now the head boys have already explained his role in getting rid of the British, or the boycott of British goods, British education, British titles, and all. He says reject them all because you must not cooperate with your oppressors. That is what he believed in. Right? But he also saw that bigger than non-violence and non-cooperation was truth. You must search for truth at whatever cost. You must speak the truth. And for him, truth was almost the same as God. Truth was God. And anybody who lived his life in a lie was not being truthful to God. And this is a very, very powerful thing. Basically, if there was a deep principle involved, people must fight to defend it. And resisting Giving up resisting was cowardice of the highest order. So Gandhiji opposed exploitation of people, where greedy people took more than their fair share of resources. Gandhiji saw economic injustice and exploitation as one of the worst forms of violence because it happened quietly, out of sight. You can see immediately if somebody steals $100 from you. But if somebody steals $100 from you by exploiting you in a way which is not obvious, Gandhiji said that was worse than the physical form of violence.